We're keeping an eye on the growing conditions in southeast Florida here. Meteorologist Mike Seidel is live for us in Vero Beach, where a hurricane watch, along with a tropical storm warning, is in effect. Mike, I would imagine you've got an agitated ocean in front of you, or somewhere around you right now.
Yes, right next to me, and it's been agitated since Sunday. I was watching the cams from Georgia on Sunday, and it was already up. It's up higher now. What has changed overnight? Well, the wind is still frisky. It's sustained out here about 20 miles an hour. The buoy off Cape Canaveral sustained in the upper 20s, 27, 28 miles an hour. What I noticed there is the seas, wave heights have gone from 9.8 up to 13.5 feet. So definitely that swell is propagating in, and we're going to see that here when we end up with 8, 9, maybe 10 footers by later on tomorrow. This is the concern here at Vero Beach. It's not a very wide beach. High tide is coming up shortly at 7:23, so what, 15 or so minutes away. And look at the water coming right up. This is what's left of the dune line. This is the concrete wall protecting the hotel here. And then you look down the beach, and here it comes, right up here into the dune, right here at my feet. You can see how the water came right up under me. And look in the distance, you can see the surf just eating away at the sand. High tide again in about 20 minutes, and then we'll have several more high tides this evening and 2 tomorrow, and the water's going to be even higher. It's higher than it was last night. The play here is, when does it come in and when is low tide and high tide? Well, low tide is 2:18 Thursday morning, and we've got it coming in sometime probably just before that. So right now it's kind of syncing up low tide and the landfall of whatever we have, whether it's a tropical storm or a subtropical storm, Nicole. So that's going to save us a little bit. Right now with a full moon, our tides are running 1.5 feet to 2 feet above where they normally are. So if we can shave that off as we get the water coming in advance of the landfall late tomorrow night, Kelly, that would be a good thing. Otherwise, today another beautiful day, breezy, lots of sun. The rainfall more of an impact tomorrow into Thursday morning. Kelly?
Yeah, it looks like a good day for the preparations that really need to be completed, I would say, by tonight, because those rain bands start creeping in by tomorrow morning. So, Mike, thank you so much for showing us the beaches there, which...
Good morning from Vero Beach. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. We're on what's left of the beach. Boy, I tell you what, every high tide is eating more of this beach away. It's come up to here. High tide just about 7 or 8 minutes ago at 7:23 Eastern. Hotel here, we've got a concrete barrier that goes up about 3 feet. Here's the angry Atlantic now, 7, 8 footers. It's all churned up like a wash tub, has been since Sunday. Landfall expected around plus or minus 1 or 2 hours of midnight tomorrow night. Right now, it's probably going to go in just south of us. Either way, we've got this unrelenting onshore wind right on through that point. Once it goes by us, we'll have an offshore wind from the southwest. Surge values expected 3 to 5 feet. That's above normally dry ground. Also, we had the full moon last night in the lunar eclipse, so tide values are running 1.5 to 2 feet higher than average. So if we can bring the highest push of water in at the same time as the low tide very early Thursday morning, that will help us out. And I think the beach impacts are going to be the primary impacts with this system in this part of Florida. Number 2 would be the wind. We'll probably have some power outages. Number 3, the rainfall. Rainfall amounts generally about 2 inches or so, plus or minus. Maybe some localized flash flooding, but that'll drain away. So, Jim, this morning, watching the surf. Water temperature, very comfortable, 80 degrees. Sunny and breezy today. Rain showers, and those bands start to move in on Wednesday and into Wednesday night and Thursday. So we're all watching the surf and how bad the beach is just being decimated. About a half an hour ago, Jim, we had a big berm of sand here, and it's gone. So you know the drill. Each high tide, we've got 3 more high tides before landfall.
Hey, Mike,
so
are you still having issues?
And waiting.
Are you still having issues with your IFB, or can you hear me right now?
Oh, I can hear you fine.
Oh, great. So what I wanted to ask you is, after going through several high tide cycles, how much of that, fence is going to be there, and how close is it to the building? Do you think some of this erosion will be?
The fence is anchored in this concrete wall. I'm not worried about the fence going anywhere. I just don't think we're going to have that kind of issue. This is certainly not Ian. But we will probably have waves crashing onto you can see what's left of the dune. We've got about 3 feet here. It drops off about 2. We've got another berm out here. And I saw a picture of the beach from summer of 2021, and it was out there. I mean, maybe 50,
Wow.
60 yards out there. So they've lost a lot of sand in the past year to year and a half. Jim?
No question. We know you're there to cover it for us, Mike. We'll see how much, again,
There it comes.
this turns into a hurricane before all is said and done. And even as we're speaking there, Mike is starting to lose even more and more beach. We're keeping an eye on these conditions for you in southern Florida, and so is meteorologist Mike Seidel, who's live in Vero Beach for us. They've got a hurricane watch. They've got a tropical storm warning. They've got a storm surge warning there. Mike, the erosion issues are already well underway, though, aren't they?
They are. They have been underway since Sunday. The surf has been up since then. We've had this longshore fetch, and it's increased. Now, the winds haven't really increased. They've been steady, 18 to 20 at the airport, a little stronger inland, or rather a little stronger on the beach, and they're gusting at Vero Beach Airport at close to 30. So since we got here yesterday, we haven't noticed an increase in the wind. We haven't noticed the surface come up higher, and each high tide is higher. Last night, the water came up to about here. High tide was around dinner time, a little after dinner time, and now the water's coming right up to what's left of the dune. Now, there is some concrete in front of this barrier protecting the hotel here, and there's a nice grassy lawn. Will water get up there? Potentially, certainly get blown up there tomorrow night. Next high tide's coming up this evening, about 7:30. Then we have two more high tides tomorrow of concern, because this is not a system that comes in and goes away where we have maybe one or two high tides we're worried about. This is going to be two more in addition to the ones we've already had, so more sand is going to be lost. And the key is, does Nicole come in a little before after midnight tomorrow night? That's what we're thinking. Low tide here at Vero Beach, this part of the Treasure Coast, is at 2:18 a.m. So that would help us out, because with a full moon, tides are running about 1.5 to 2 feet above average. So that would save us maybe 2 feet of surge, or at least water overwash. Look at this, looking down the coast, looking north, and you can see the berm and how the sand is getting eaten away, and then there's very little dune left anywhere. These beaches have really lost a lot of sand in the past 12 to 18 months, and there's no relief from the surf and these winds, Kelly. The winds will slowly ramp up tomorrow, and then we'll throw rain into the mixture on Wednesday and Wednesday night. But by far, the biggest impact here will be on the beaches and not so much inland. I'm much more concerned about what we're already seeing, and we've got another 24 to 36 hours of these beaches getting eaten away by the rough surf and the battering waves and the much higher than average tides.
Yeah, beach replenishment, by the way, no cheap job, that's for sure. And unfortunately, Ian, a lot of people don't realize we saw a lot of erosion on the east side of Florida, even though Ian came in on the southwest side of the state. So very vulnerable with all those cuts in the beaches there, Mike. Stay safe. We'll get back to you shortly.
Good morning. Welcome back to Vero Beach, Florida. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. We continue our coverage of Nicole, still a subtropical storm, expected to go full tropical later today and could become a minimal hurricane before it landfalls. The timing around midnight Wednesday night. The timing of the low tide, 2:18 a.m. That should work in our favor and save us a little anxiety and save us a little water rise, because right now the storm surge warning from the Hurricane Center forecasts a surge of 3 to 5 feet above the normally high dry ground. And already with high tide, which was over an hour ago, we had the water up to the seawall. Look at the dune. Boy, it's barely left. Got some CO, some sand. Down the beach I showed you, it's about a 4-foot cut. So they've lost a lot of dune, not from Ian this far south, but just storm and storm again since summer before last. I saw a picture of the beach from the summer of 2021, and it went out about 50 to 60 yards. Surf continues to roll in as it has since Sunday, this long fetch across the Atlantic. By the way, the water temp is 80, so plenty of warm, plenty of energy for Nicole. We'll see if it can get its act together and really tighten up. That would probably increase the storm surge and certainly increase the threat of higher wind gusts and higher winds. Right now, though, it's this. This is what we're going to get for day 3. Into tomorrow, we'll throw in the rain, and the winds will eventually ramp up as the center of Nicole draws closer. It's still about 400 miles away. And, Jim, we'll keep an eye on the next update at 10 a.m. Eastern. And I was thinking, what are the advantages of standard time? Well, I came up with two thoughts. The weather models come in earlier by 1 hour.
Right.
And we get the Hurricane Center advisories, not 11 a.m., but 10 a.m. Other than that, I'm still struggling to figure out any other advantages of standard time. I just like the daylight in the evening, but that's just me. I'm not a farmer.
Well, I mean, on that first night, you kind of get that extra hour's sleep, so to speak. So that if you have to get up at a certain time. But other than that, you're right, Mike. And I think that bill's been sitting on the desk for many folks for a while now. So we'll see where it goes.
All right, about 2 hours down to my south is meteorologist Mike Seidel in Vero Beach. And Mike, it's amazing actually that your beaches look a lot like mine do up here.
Yes, pretty decimated. We had the advantage of the track of Ian going to our north, so we didn't get nearly as much damage from Ian, but they've had a lot of storms. They've lost a lot of sand. I saw pictures from the summer before last, and the beach was out there, like 50, 60 yards. Now we've got surf. High tide was almost 2 hours ago, and the water is coming up to basically where high tide was yesterday evening. That goes to show you that the water is increasingly higher with each successive tide, and we've got 3 more high tides between now and Nicole's landfall later on tomorrow night. So what we're looking at is the dune is basically gone here in front of the hotel. There is concrete in front of this concrete barrier, and then you've got the front yard and the fence. Water will likely come up here and splash over. We've got a storm surge warning, a surge forecast of 3 to 5 feet above the normally drier ground, but it's going to be coming in at high tide with an earlier high tide. Low tide's 2:18 a.m., so it should be coming in past high tide as we approach low tide. So that's going to help us out a little bit because tides are running about 2 feet higher than average because of the full moon. You take a gander up the beach, what's left of it here. Again, we're still a couple hours past high tide, and most of the beach still going underwater with wave action coming in. Waves running 6 to 8 feet off Cape Canaveral now, about 13.5 footers, and they just come in and they take the sand out. And it's not like this is a 1 or 2 tide concern. We've had this going on since Sunday, and we still have all day today, tonight, tomorrow, and until the winds go southwest as the storm goes by Thursday morning. Lynette, we're going to have this decimating effect on the beaches with the surf and the wind. Winds consistently now running about 20 miles an hour as they have since yesterday. Just had a peak gust at the airport inland of 32 miles an hour. Otherwise, a nice day at the pool. And right here, surf is dangerous. Rip current's a big issue for the next couple of days. Lynette?
Yeah, Mike, it definitely looks rough right now. It's that surf, and things are only going to go downhill from there. But you know what? We're also talking about some rainy conditions.
Good morning, back on the beach, and the surf has been up since Sunday. This is Vero Beach, the Treasure Coast, and we are watching, the high tides. We had one at 7:30. About 7:30, we have another one this evening. 2 more tomorrow before Nicole makes landfall. Each high tide has been higher than the one before. This morning's high tide came right up to the concrete wall here. Notice that the dune has been decimated. Just down the beach, we showed you about a 4-foot cut. So they have very little protection. They do have this nice concrete barrier wall, and there's concrete in front of this footing. So that helps. But we got a storm surge warning, expecting surges right now of 3 to 5 feet. That could come up if Nicole tightens up before landfall and becomes more of a tropical threat as far as going from a storm to a hurricane. Look at the surf. This has been like this since Sunday. I was checking the cam Sunday before I got on the plane, and up and down the coast, from the Palm Beaches up to Jacksonville, the Space Coast, the surf is ramped up with this onshore wind. Now it's not gotten any stronger since yesterday. It's running generally about 18 to 20 miles an hour, some gusts to 30, but it's just pushing the water in. And as Nicole gets stronger and draws closer, we will see the winds ramp up, and that will push the water higher. Low tide is Thursday morning at 2:18 a.m. I say that because we think Nicole will come on shore around midnight or so. So that really could help us out because tides are running a couple of feet above average because of the full moon. Now here in Indian River County, schools were canceled for today. They're canceled also tomorrow. Friday, they were already out because of Veterans Day. And they do have 3 storm shelters opening up tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., Wednesday at 7, 1 for the general public, 1 for special needs, and Alex and Lynette, 1 for the pets and animals. So 3 storm shelters opening up tomorrow morning. No word on any kind of evacuations at this point. Thankfully, this is nothing like Ian, but a surge of 3 to 5 feet is going to take out even more of the beaches here on the Treasure Coast.
All right, thanks so much, Michael. We'll certainly be checking back with you as we work our way through the morning.
Good morning from Vero Beach. The surf has been up since Sunday, and it will continue to ramp up through tomorrow night, late tomorrow night and Thursday morning. Nicole forecast to make landfall in this area. It could be a minimal hurricane by that point, give or take an hour or two around midnight tomorrow night. After that point, the winds will go offshore and start to push the water out. High tide this morning about 2.5 hours ago, and it came right up to the seawall. Notice the dune here is virtually gone, and they've had a lot of storms. Now, Ian, for the most part, did not impact this area because it went north of here, so we had an offshore wind. But look at the surf. Frothy, churned up like a bathtub, and breaking way, way out there. Wave heights offshore at the buoy off Cape Canaveral have been as high as 14 feet this morning. By the way, surf temperature is about 80, 81, so certainly enough energy there to keep the storm going as it crosses from the Bahamas towards the east coast of Florida. Indian River schools here closed today and tomorrow, closed through Friday for Veterans Day. They also have 3 shelters opening tomorrow morning for animals, for special services, and for the general population. No word on any evacuations, but we do have a storm surge warning, and that means we'll have water going up 3 to 5 feet above normally dry ground. And Alex and Lynette, we're hoping that coincides, we think it will, at least closely, to the low tide at 2:18 Thursday morning. Just checking the phone, and still no update from the Hurricane Center. We're expecting that momentarily. In fact, you guys may get that before you wrap up this segment.
Yeah, you said it, Mike. We'll be watching that very closely, watching it intently on that update. Mike, we'll check back with you there.